place in the future.
We're going to talk about that's a separate issue. We're going to talk about the interlocal avenue. Right now, it's just the road issues.
But that's my motion. We pay Terrty pays $5,000 on that road, and we take it either fixed, and the township pays for moving the furnace piping and repairs to the wall.
And move forward with the anchors.
I second the motion.
Okay, it's been approved. Let's get her done.
All right.
All right, we just want to clean up the sales of the Crown Vic. So do we agree with that? We're going to put that thing back on eBay? So do we have a motion for that, please?
The last meeting, we were going to put it up for sealed bid. We were on last meeting. I thought
Is that what we're doing now?
that's what we voted on and discussed after. We didn't have any luck on eBay. It was just take sealed bids and advertise locally and take whatever we got out of it.
Did you know at that time that you had a $2,200 bid on it?
I didn't know that either. I thought we didn't have any bids at all.
We had a $2,200 bid on it.
Let me just make a comment about communication. I mean, communication is both ways. I've heard comments on both sides that we don't communicate enough. That's an example of what if we had that information, we probably went forward and went eBay. You know, I won't be able to communicate like Mr. Cook says. But let's keep it communicating in a positive way. So that's already been done in one meeting, so do I entertain a motion to have it seal bids and sell bids?
Is there a cost to, Mr. President, if I may?
Yeah.
Is there a cost impact if we simply put it back on eBay? Consider the $2,200 we offered offer. Is there a cost impact of putting it back on eBay?
I think the cost, I'm not very good.
I think it's like $10.
The last thing was the last thing cost us $20, but I think it was because we put a reserve on it at $2,500.
The reserve is what experience.
What's the cost to get to a sealed bid?
I think you just have to do a legal ad.
Yeah, but it's going to cost you a couple, $200-300 for a legal ad. Instead of putting a reserve, we've sold vehicles on eBay with great success. And what you need to do, to save you that little bit of money, is don't put a reserve on it, because you can decide what you'll sell the car for. If what's your rock bottom dollar? Let's say it's $1,200. Just make your starting bid $1,200. So you know right then and there you're getting it for less, and then you don't have to pay the fee for listing it with a reserve.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
And that's how we did ours, and we always got more than what we decided our rock bottom price was.
Well, the township is set up to do it, and I can do it that way if you want.
Well, we've already got approval to do it on eBay. We've already got approval to do that on eBay. We can go back to eBay.
Right, and then this came through, and I kind of heard through the grapevine that you were looking at maybe $1,500. I'm like, but we had 22. But I'm new at eBay too. I mean.
Well, I'll make a motion where we rescind the previous minutes motion to sell it on a closed bid, and my motion is to relist it on eBay and starting a bid of $1,200. You want to do that?
That's fine.
And that'll ramp it up a little bit. Hopefully we'll get $2,200-$2,300 out of it. Can we do that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been approved. Let's move on.
That on eBay.
All right, now, if there any other old business we can discuss before we get into this on here, because it's close and dear to my heart here, is number one, I do want to make a comment that Mr. Garner, now our attorney, has been looking at our MOU, and we need to move forward and get this done, make changes appropriate. So we all agree, let's put on there and not entertain anything else, but the MOU is strictly for the operating portion. And we need to talk about the interlocal 5-member board. I want to make a comment here, speaking of lack of communication. We did not know, this board did not know for at least 2 months that you had met, the township board had met, and didn't go along with the 5 board members.
Really?
Now, I understand the attorneys were involved. Information sent Mr. Aaron called along with you. This board was not crazy of what was going on. That's why we kept asking. And if the meeting had been held, I would hope that we would have had some information to preempt that, because number one, Aaron Culp was not the territory attorney. He represented the Atlanta and the Arcadians, my other hats, well-being. So if we had known a couple months ago, we probably had to jump on it. This whole deal took too long to deal. And we had one attorney that, and God bless Mr. Logan, I love him dearly, made the changes and added additional stuff to the MOU that we talked about. We would have this thing resolved a long time ago. Our priority, this board's priority is, and I'm hoping the township as well, so we put it to rest, is get the MOU revised and taken care of, and look at it, discuss it, and get it approved. I hear comments in the past, well, it's not an MOU. I was, like Robert and I talked about today, I mean, Mr. Roberts and I talked about today is that we need 48 hours advance for our agenda, because it's on the MOU.
Yes.
Well, there's other things on the MOU too we have involved. So that is our priority. We want to make sure we read and go by the instructions set by both entities, all three entities. So I'm going to ask our attorney, Mr. Garner, have you had an opportunity to review some of the items on the MOU? Minimum.
Yeah.
So Mr. Garner's expense is probably going to be working on the MOU and get it where the township agrees to it, and also the territory agrees to the MOU. And hopefully we'll get this done in the next couple of months and get it done completely. So maybe the assistance of the township attorney and the territory attorney, leave it up to Mr. Garner. I have full trust in Mr. Garner.
I still do not have a signed copy of the MOU that's in effect. All I have are drafts. I do not have one that shows me what currently is in effect.
I've got a copy with me. I can make a copy.
Mr. Pfeiffer will make you a copy.
This is a stamped copy of the recorder's office.
Can you do that? Or can you do a copy of the office?
I can get it in the office.
Okay. We'll have that done. We'll have that done before you leave, Tim. We'll have that done before you leave. John can make a copy of it for you. Now,
You have a letter, you have a copy of the letter that Jeanette sent. Right, because our meeting the meeting was on the 27th of May, and the email was sent on the 29th to Aaron Calder to Jeff Martin.
Township board, you got anything you want to say about the 5-member board?
okay, let's discuss the five-member board. It has been understanding several months ago, many months ago, we all agreed that we need more representation on the board. So this way, in case I take too many vacations, somebody will be here to represent the territory. As well as if somebody is sick or has a prior commitment. Mr. Pfeiffer does have a full-time job. I don't. Sometimes it's on a job that had taken past the deadline and could not make a meeting. We went to the alternative, the alternate thing. It didn't work out too well. We had people that came on board, like yourself, didn't have the full impact of the meeting, what was going on. So actually, it didn't help. What we needed, and I agreed with, and we all agreed with at the time, was to have somebody selected by the township. Initially, the township wanted 2 representation, and then us 1. Not given a fair advantage. We all talked about that. Discussion was made, well, we put in more money than both Arcadia and Atlanta. I don't think that's a big issue. The big issue is no matter what, the people belong to the same township and they should have the same services. It is my feeling that the original entertainment of the 5 board members that was agreed once before by both entities was that the township would select one representation from Arcadia and 1 representation from the other entity from Atlanta. So we would have the appropriate number of people on the board. So in case one of us was sick or gone, then we'd have enough representation to continue the meeting. That was my understanding. We need discussion on that, I'm sure. But, you know, our priority is get this done instead of arguing with each other. Because I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired of hearing all the critical and criticism on both sides. I'm tired of doing it. I'm tired of being a referee. I want to do my job. I want to represent the community. I'm in a bad position. I'm both not only on the territory, like John, I'm also a councilman to represent this town. Okay, I want to make sure it's best for everybody. So we spent too much time figuring and calling ourselves sons of bitches and everything else, excuse my French, it is on record, and we're idiots and we're liars. We need to move forward and get it done. That's my whole thing. I have nothing else. I don't want any more money. $100,000 a year for me is perfect. I don't want any more money for this job. For the record, I don't get paid for this job. I just want to move forward and take care and do my job as I was asked by the president of my council. That's all I got to know. I also want to tell you, this is my last year on the fire territory. I will brief the new councilman who comes on board that whether it's Mitch Russell or someone to do this job, I cannot do it anymore. I'm going to pick up an additional duty coming January. I might not be the president of the council, and I just can't do both and do the job right. And I'm getting old and feeble. Any discussions on that? Both ends. What is our agreement? What are our priorities going to be? What we need to do to move forward and just get the job done and move forward, so we can be friends again.
Well, Mr. President, I'd suggest that we just leave it like it was and then it'll deal with.
I'm sorry?
We'll just leave it as a 3-member board and it'll all be over with. There might be a discussion, no name calling, whatever.
I only said that specifically because
That way there's no question. 3 people, we have 3 now. If we're going to keep stirring the pot, drop it.
we want to throw it.
Move on, there's other things.
Well, that's a fine comment, but the thought is we're not rectifying the problem. If one board member is not there, we're not going to have a board.
Then that's your problem.
Well, I mean,
Gotta be there.
it doesn't seem to have been much of a problem in the last few months. We've been able to work around each other's schedules. We haven't had to have any emergency meetings. I mean, you guys have been generous to work around my schedule and your vacation schedule. I think the 3-member board would continue to work. We were using some hypothetical situations possibly, you know, if one person didn't make it. But I think since the longer this territory's been going along, it has less issues that it has to deal with on a short-term basis. We went from having a couple meetings a month, now we're down to having 1 meeting a month, and we may even be able to skip a month occasionally. So it's not as critical that we have I would say, an emergency meeting. I think our communications are getting much better as far as talking amongst each other. And if we have something, we've discussed also that if there's an emergency expenditure that has to be done, the president of the board permission to take action on that, and we would fix it at the next board meeting.
I'm only trying to follow up on the wishes of the township. That's what the township wanted. That was my understanding. If I had known that you don't care and leave it at 3, we wouldn't be discussing this issue again. So if that's the wishes of the township, in particular, personally, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me either. It takes care of the problem.
I can only speak for myself. And that'd be, let's forget this. This isn't helping anything. It takes up. We got 2 attorneys sitting there and they're sitting there listening and the clock's a ticking.
Right.
Let's get over it. Let's get done. Leave it 3.
But I think they're paid for a good just cause, because we needed this meeting, this joint meeting, just get it taken care of.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. So as I understand it, let me go ahead and repeat then that that's the whole township's view of not changing anything on the board.
No, it's not my view.
Okay?
Okay.
And the main reason is, and our attorney can probably explain this, that we took Chris off the board.
Not all. She is on the board.
Well, the intent was to take her off, but we can't, because if you'd explain it to him,
She's the executive.
right.
Can't hear the way you said
Financial.
executive. The trustee is executive.
So it'd have to go back to the original board. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Without completely disassembling that local agreement, starting all over basically. Because you're gonna have to make so many changes in it. Any time word executives worked in there, you gotta rewrite that for something else.
Okay.
And it's very deep in there.
I recommend that our attorneys representing the township and the territory work jointly to get this, if that's possible or feasible, work jointly to accomplish this task.
What task?
I'm sorry?
To take the word executive out?
No, to get the MOU done. And I still, we have a board member that says,
Jerry, do you want to continue to create this?
Well, I've served on 3-member and 5-member, and there's a big advantage of 5-member board, I think. Somebody's sick, or, you've always got somebody that can't make a meeting or whatever. That makes it a lot easier to operate with a 5-member board. But if everybody else wants to go back to the original, I'll do it, as long as we can keep it going. Because y'all know that I want to keep the territory going. So, whatever it takes.
So Atlanta and Arcadia would have 3 representatives, and we would have 2 representatives.
No,
That's what the proposal is with the changes.
no, we just have a 3-member board, just like we are.
We can't come to seem like we can't pass the 5 members for some reason. So, I just want to keep it going, and the communications has always been the problem. So.
on both sides.
Right, both sides, yeah.
Can I ask, what is the issue with a 5-member board? Yes, that question.
Well, I think the issue is, Chris would have to sort of be back up, seated on the board, and I think the township felt like that they should have the appointment of the 2 other members.
So basically, then the township would have majority rule on the place in the township, correct?
I would think that we could appoint 2 people that you would think that would be for the territory.
Well,
I would, I mean,
Sure. I'm with you, Jerry. I mean, this fire territory.
I don't distrust people that much. I think if I could appoint her and her, they're gonna speak for everybody, not for the territory, not for the township.
I took office up in Atlanta in January. I've been getting ready to start my 8th month. I haven't said a whole lot. I've sat back. I've tried to educate myself on this whole issue, the fire territory. This joint meeting tonight is probably one of the best steps that you've taken. We're all in the same room. We all can speak honestly and openly. We've all heard this, we've heard that. I've read this, I've read that. There's been a lot of correspondence that we've all read, minutes, issues, and I think the bottom line is we need this territory. Our communities need this territory. I live right next to the fire station in Atlanta, most of you know that. I've seen the difference that it's been up there. Unfortunately, as of late, there hasn't been as many folks there. I've noticed that as well, and I know that's due to budget.
Yeah, we've got money in the budget this year to pay for this out there.
One question I have, and not to deviate off of the topic, but it's a question I've always had and I've never gotten an answer. The revenue that is generated from your medical runs, and there's a lot of those, where does that money end up? I mean, is that
Part of the budget.
Is that in the operating budget?
It's in the operating budget. We take that and add that to what we get from taxes and any other funds coming in, revenue coming in, and all that's added together. And that's where we got the number for that budget. We estimate next year we're going to bring in about $60,000 in EMS revenue. revenue from ambulance transports.
It has to be appropriated.
Yeah, so we
It doesn't
appropriated
go
that.
into the fire territory fund, it goes into the EMS fund.
Yeah.
But
Now,
it's-
is that money used
It can
for operation?
be. It can.
Can be,
Yeah.
but is it currently being used for that?
Currently, no,
No.
because we've got grant money.
Okay, so
But next year, we plan on using
we're
this.
accumulating funds then, I would take it, if it's not currently being used.
And if we
we're
fall short
accumulating.
from funds we've already got,
Do you
the year
know
we
what
can use
that
that.
amount is?
And there's a report that the fire board gets each month, or each meeting. They have, the top report that they have shows how much is in there. And it also becomes cash, which bolsters, so when the cash level gets low, that EMS fund cash can help keep the fire territory afloat.
Do we know what that amount is?
It's right on that report.
Is it?
And it's like, I gave my report away.
Okay.
It's,
But, you know, back to, you know, surely there is enough
Yeah,
revenue. I
there
mean,
is. Keep it.
I don't have that figure in front of me, but I would hope
I
that there
got it.
would be enough revenue to keep this thing afloat and to continue. I mean, we need the service. I mean, we really do. It's wonderful having an ambulance up there. I've got a mother that's close to 80 years old with a bad heart. I had a mother-in-law, there was an ambulance run to my house, Thanksgiving Day. Just so happened that night, there was not an EMS on staff right next door. It would have been great if it was. I don't hold that against any of you. It would just be wonderful if we were at the point where we could have coverage there 24/7.
holidays are hard.
It is hard, you know, people are off, and you know, I understand though, I'm not being critical of that.
You know, we need to quit acting like our federal government and start getting along down here and working it out.
And this, like
We're
I
acting
said,
like the federal government right now. For
you
the
know,
fact
this
that
Sunday tonight, if all of a sudden here, is what's gonna have to happen. It's
We
gonna have
did
to
that
continue.
we did that all the time, and it was awesome, because we could, instead of doing, we'd start something and say, well, we've gotta have fire board approval, so we could, the fire board was right there, or vice versa. We got a lot accomplished in those meetings.
Why can't their meetings overlap? Could they?
What do you mean?
Could like the township meetings and the fire board meetings be scheduled like back to back maybe?
We
So they
did
could
that.
overlap a little bit?
We did that, that's the way we used to do it. We actually started, we would actually start the township board meeting early so we could take care of township board stuff. And then we stopped pretty much where it said territory report. And we used to have, well, back when Abe, because Abe and Gary, the buses and all that. And then they'd show up, and about the time they'd show up, then we'd pick up the fire territory. And it was awesome, it was really, really good.
So I'm reading here on this report, Chris, currently in Fund 12, Emergency Medical Services, $269,786.
Yeah.
53 cents. That's a nice little chunk of change, isn't it? I mean, looking at the big picture here, I know what we deal with at the town of Atlanta. It's less than that. When we operate a town, obviously our utility department generates income, thankfully. I mean, we're self-sufficient. We pay Andy's salary and the other salaries, but gosh,
put people back at Atlanta.
Well, I think that they just can't get people scheduled to work there, is the problem, with part-time employees.
we had a citizen,
Have fun,
I'll give you an
space.
example. We had a citizen last night at a council meeting. She had cut herself at home, and she thought, hey, I'll go to the fire station. Maybe, you know, I'll get a paramedic to look at my injury and hopefully give me some direction. Well, she went over, and there's no one there. Which, again, I understand that. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know that it was yesterday. She was at last night's meeting. She didn't specify what day it was. But just an example of, you
Well,
know,
we're down one firefighter,
okay.
but we're gonna hire a new one, right, to replace Rob?
Correct.
So there's one shift, we have, I don't know if I can turn the shift.
No, that's fine, I think it was
Well,
over.
there's one shift that we've got a full-time guy that left for other employment. So we're trying to put in part-time people to fill his shift as well as do the part-time. So that pulls.
And then while I got the floor,
Vacation season.
While I've got the floor, I'm gonna throw this out here. I'm not, most of you that know me, I'm not bashful. Is this territory gonna go away? I've heard that they're gonna disband the territory.
Who's telling you that?
I'm not gonna say who's telling me that. I get around, I hear that. Is that your desire this evening? I'll ask the township board.
Not currently, no.
You know my desire. I'm
Because-
not bashful about telling it, never have been.
Well, in the minutes, I mentioned it, and I read the May township minutes, and in reading the minutes, it gives us the impression, because there was some discussion amongst the township board, and there was some discussion, and you, Jerry, you asked, when some comment was made, why didn't you pull out of territory? Why didn't you pull out of territory? And Chris said, because it was after April 1st. And I was going to print those minutes off. That's actually on the minutes that was approved and put on the website. And I was going to print those off because I don't recall what the discussion was about. It brought you to ask that question. And that was the comment that was made by Chris because it was after April 1st. And, you know, that doesn't make us feel comfortable with comments being made like that. And, you know, then they hear all the rumors and everything else being said.
Well, I'll never vote to go out.
Well, I appreciate that, and, you know, I'd like.
That's just my opinion.
I know.
And I know from the town of Atlanta's point of view, we'll never vote to go out. I know never's a big word.
Yeah, right.
That's a big word, but it is not our desire to disband this
I'm a
territory.
believer that it's the best thing for.
You know, all three entities, this territory will not exist, and like I said, I don't know a lot, just what I've studied in the last 8 months, 7 months. This territory will not exist without all three entities. That's my understanding.
Well, I think eventually you're gonna have, Cicero's gonna have.
They need to be.
Yeah.
Cicero needs to be. White River needs to be. And, you know, I know that not everyone agrees with that, but
And this is, a good point was, that's some of the concerns that board members had, is
just
that
being honest.
why are we spending all this money when we feel come January, we're not gonna be existing? Why are we spending so much time and shooting so much? Because as Glenn says, stirring that pot gets people talking about and make innuendos and make comments that don't know what they're talking about. What we do hear pretty resoundingly on public record is that there is some desire, and has been in the past, to get out of this stuff and be non-existent and shut down the territory. So when you're moving forward with that, you hear that, you don't feel very stable. It's like a job, right? Your boss says, how you doing today? Did you get your paycheck? Then he comes back the next day and says, no, you didn't receive your paycheck, did you? That's because you don't work here anymore. So when you hear little comments, it makes it a little hard to deal with sometimes. So do we have a majority that feels that the territory ought to be moving forward, or do we have some concept of us being non-existent come January?
I believe we should move forward as much as we can, you know, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't have much else to say. I think we ought to just keep moving forward.
Okay.
I've been in, what, 4 years?
Right.
First 3 years, wasn't like all this. We didn't have to ask for a joint meeting, how everybody was there. Everybody communicated. It seemed like the issue that brought all this on is when come up for the towns, we asked for more money. And this is where it all started. Then, you represent Arcadia, Atlanta, we're the bad guys. This is not the way it was 3 years ago. If this is a test run of what the fire territory can do, and how you can get along with other people in the community, and your board, your provider, it's not working.
Why is it just the territory, Glenn?
Pardon?
Why is it the territory? Why is it that default remains and is only completed by the territorial's approach to communication and the territorial's approach to getting the job done. And I agree with Chris. I said, we had, an original member here. I agree with Chris. It went smoothly. I agree with
Well, then you tell me what went pop all of a sudden. Communications. I agree. I get every email. Right here. Every email. Some of them are very friendly.
And I think that's what
The conversation on the street is not friendly.
Well,
Now, I'm in this position to represent the people. And I do not live in Atlanta or Arcadia. I live out. And that is my job, to represent the people. Of course, I can't get them to come, but I think they'd be appalled if they were here to witness some of the meetings and some of the issues that we have. Now, here's one thing. I know several other trustees. Jeff Herman, he's forward. He didn't have to worry about it. The trustee doesn't have to worry about fire department. It's just, a contract. It's not even an issue. I don't think he works 15 hours a week. But this township, we got the fire department and the township. There's a lot to do here. A trustee puts in 50, 60 hours a week. And with all that we are into, I'm on the phone every day. I get emails every day. This could work a lot better.
now, my question
It's
is,
like we're trying to take your money, we're trying to do this, who's gonna pay for this? That's gonna cost us $25.
the real big picture is,
Give me a break. Look, I run a business.
I put you in your position. I was a precinct committee member. I put you in that position, and I agreed you were the fully qualified individual to be in that position. So it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of trust, and it's a matter of talking about each other in a decent way and communicating that to everybody to understand. That's what it's all about. And you can't run the territory like you run a business. It doesn't work that way.
It does.
And the town of Arcadia,
I'm on fire.
and the town of Arcadia is not a bunch of dumbasses. Okay? They know how to operate the funds. They just don't have the funds to operate with.
I disagree with you. I'm on 5 different boards and I'm on
I don't care what you
want.
want.
Like a medicine, they're not your books.
That's the problem right there.
Gentlemen, can I be allowed to make a real elementary observation here? I'm like our president here. I'm new at this. John asked me to be an alternate, which didn't work out, as you talked about earlier. But what I want to say here tonight, this is my first meeting here.
Excuse me, sir, can you state your name for the record?
Yes, it's John Benj, and I'm a councilman in Atlanta, town councilman. And I just want to say this. I know from sitting here, from my point of view, there's a lot of hard feelings here. I don't really know what it's all about. There's a lot of prejudice. There's a lot of personal feelings involved. And every one of you gentlemen, including the trustee, it's a high calling. You all represent a high calling. And the bottom line here, and maybe sound very elementary, is, and I know it takes money and funds to run and maintain things, that's an absolute. But you got to remember, what you're really representing is trying to stop people from being burned up. You're trying to help people who have heart attacks so you can get them to the hospital. I just lost my granddaughter last year due to pneumonia because she couldn't get to the hospital in time. So I'm a victim in that, and I understand the importance of medical aid. You gentlemen need to set your arguments aside and work together. And if you can't do that, I'm going to be blunt. If your feelings get hurt, you're in the wrong position. Any kind of politics, if you're the type of guy who gets your feelings hurt because so-and-so said so-and-so, because people are going to talk. They're going to say good things, they're going to say bad things. Whether you do good things or not, there's always going to be that element out there. But you need to understand here tonight, you're all meeting, and you're representing people, potential people who you may save their lives. We talk about medics, we talk about $15 an hour. I know it takes money. I know it does. But that one medic getting $9 an hour may save the price of some woman having a heart attack. How do you put a price on a human being's life? We talk about this territory gets more, this, when you start working together, and it's basic, and I think you all want to do that, but I know Maurice is a military man, and I don't have to explain to him how, you have to work together. There has to be a chain of command. Everyone has to be able to pull their own weight, do their duty, and get along. And if you don't come to that basic thing here tonight, all this other complicated issues that you have are never going to work out. When you got one member over here that has hard feelings over this fellow, that's no good. We're men. We're not kids. We can't go out here and put the punch gloves on like we did when we were 14. And I know we need to figure out a way where the money's coming from, how to divide the money equally so everybody is represented equally. But I just want to say this. When you start arguing and everything, just remember there's people dying out there. They are actually dying. Being burned up. Nothing worse than seeing somebody be burned up. Or someone die of a heart attack when they should never have. Because the ambulance wasn't there. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
I agree with you totally, and I'm to blame for that.
Yeah.
There are some ill feelings.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes that's what we need to do is talk it out and get it done.
That's true too. That's true too.
The only people that feel that way, I'm for this. I agree with Chris. I think we ought to go back to joint meetings. I think we need a strong discussion on that. There's been a lot of unity in that aspect. We've got a lot of jobs and a lot of work done quickly.
If it's constructive criticism,
I want to go back to my people in Arcadia, and John does, put in mind and say, I feel good about the territory. I believe the territory is going to remain, and we're doing our job the way we're supposed to. We're going to save people.
I understand.
Move on with our life.
May I?
And put out fires.
May I? It seems to me that when I remember the good meetings, and this one's a good one, because at least we're all in the same room and talking. And we used to laugh as we walked out the door at the township office and say, isn't this funny? Just sit around and sing Kumbaya. And we worked really, really hard. We all worked together. And there were some ill feelings that came over. But the only way that anything's going to work, in my opinion, is that if you let the past be the past, and you start. And the other thing is that you look at each other and you have respect for each other. Because some of you may not like me, and guess what? I may not like you. But we don't have to like each other. What we have to do is represent our people and represent what they need. And when I ran for this office, that's what I did. And I fought long and hard for the territory as did everybody else in that beginning. But we all know that there was a point in time when it changed. And the things that were said to me were horrible. But you know what? I'm going to forget them. And I'm going to tell you, I want to go back, I'm on the fire board. And I want to go back and work together. And if we all take anything, ill feelings that we have, and set them aside, and work for what's right, and not be blaming each other when there's no one in this room that's not doing it for the right reason. And maybe we can move forward. But you know something? If we don't, we probably won't move forward. We've got to work together or it's not going to work.
I think being transparent is very understanding. There's secrets being maintained by people that want to talk about it.
Okay, so why are you talking about that?
Yeah,
it's the past. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
And if you won't come out and say to me who said it, if you're going to say I heard and you say, well, I don't want to say it, then I don't want to hear it. Because if I can't go back to that person and say, so, this is what you said about me, or this is what you said, tell me about it. Let's talk about it.
Well, quite frankly, if somebody comes and says, hey, let me tell you about so-and-so, I don't want to hear nothing from them about so-and-so, and I really don't want anything to do with that person's going to come and talk about somebody else.
Exactly.
Okay? And it's a done deal right there.
Well, for the sake of paying our attorneys $125 an hour, as one of the members said, let's move forward.
Why can't we move forward and these two make good statements?
Absolutely, and I agree with everything that's been said. So, I do want to make a comment, though. I do want to say that the consensus on the 5-member board, is it down? If it is, then I recommend we don't void our other agreement where we have alternates and maintain the alternates along with the regular board members. If that's not capable, that's fine. You guys don't get any more votes than you do. But I don't want to go into a meeting where we agree, the entities agree, and then it only takes one vote to say no, and it's no.
It's in the other vote.
Well, I think if you move forward to 5-member, you're just gonna have more real feelings.
It's what we've got already.
Let's go back to the 3 and have the meetings, you know,
Look at this.
close together and
So we'll just
communicate.
allow the alternates to come in for the sake of keeping the meetings going?
Might as well.
Okay, so let's have a motion on this side of the territory to go ahead and keep it the way it was and not rescind that.
I make a motion that we go stay with the 3-member board with our alternates.
I'll second it.
Second, we approve that, we go forward. We'll just do the best job as permanent members to keep everybody updated what's going on in the territory. Good.
I'll make a motion for the township that we stay with the 3-member board.
All right.
Are we open for business?
Yeah, you want to second that?
I'll second.
All right, motion carries.
Okay?
And if you forget and you don't have a quorum, we're gonna take all your money.
That's fine, I know we would.
Thanks, Bill.
I think this has been an excellent, you still got a couple of things there, your patience, I'm sorry, but I think it was very critical to discuss that. I was hoping it was gonna be brought up in some instance, because like that song says, you wanna be friends, I don't like foes. And I just retract back what I used to do in the Army, so I don't wanna do that. We have a chief's report we need to talk about. Chief, I know it's been a long day, but you have anything?
A long day for everybody. Real quick, so we just completed our joint hazmat awareness and operations class that is jointly conducted with Wayne Township and Cicero Township in Tippecanoe County. Only 3 of the 23 students need to retake the written test. Very successful Jksn first day. The trustee brought up a good point regarding the repairs to ambulance 56. That parking lot, we're currently researching that. Last week, we responded to a reported fire in assisting Cicero, who was called in by a cell phone number. So it was a cross street. When the units arrived, they got the correct address and still showed it as a Cicero address, which was a mistake. So I'm currently working with Chief Peachy to ensure that the addressing in that area is correct, because it should have been a primary response to the territory. The same units that responded would have responded regardless, because we all work together. But it is important that the addressing issues worked out. It was a vacant building, nobody was injured, and no one was displaced. The fire still being investigated. The county has obtained, county LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Committee, has obtained a grant on their own. And the grant is to allow an outside company to come in and do pre-planning for facilities that have a great deal of hazardous materials. So I attended a meeting that we targeted 2 facilities, Bench being one, and a corporation down the street from Station 55, that would qualify. This company would come in, make an evaluation, and provide a free pre-plan. The process occurred, scheduled kind of a preliminary meeting with the safety director of VEX. They're in the top 5 of the county-wide list, and I believe that our other person, our other company is in the top 15. And this will be executed by the end of September. So it is of no cost to our taxpayers, and essentially it's a good thing. So I'm following up and working with LEPC. So as that concludes, we'll follow up and give you another briefing when it's over. Currently in the process of conducting annual host testing with our host testing to machine from Fisher, so that should be done within the next week and a half. And we've already addressed the Crown Vic issue. And I had notes from May that we had to provide the township, it's perfect timing for a joint meeting, was for projected costs for the replacement of the ambulance. Okay.
If you said the territory wants to get a tax rate for it.
Correct. And you said that we needed to have that by August 1st, so the initial numbers that you threw out was a range from 270 to 300,000.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had an opportunity to take that back to the board, so our projected numbers will be 200,000 for the ambulance and 100,000 for the grass truck, and that's how we broke up that $300,000. So essentially, the engine and the ambulance are paid for, will be paid for. This tax rate, I believe, would be taking place in July of 2017.
But I thought, do we have enough time? I don't think we have enough time.
Yeah, she needs all that by November 1st.
If there's any more detail is needed, I can provide the boards. And Mr. President, I believe that those tax rates would be shared amongst all three units, is that correct? Not just the township, but
Be the entire territory.
But through an interlocal.
Yeah, it'd have to be through an interlocal because we found out that through the state that the territory is not allowed to take on debt. So all this would be on the township or the provider unit, and there would have to be an interlocal created to bring in their portion of the revenue to do this. It's kind of like going around the world to get next door type thing. We thought that the territory would just create a tax rate to pay for these things, and we can, but it has to be through the township. Is that correct? We talked to Judy. Was it Judy we talked to?
Yeah, the vehicles have to be titled the township.
Yeah,
So the township is what can, the territory doesn't have a tax ID. There's the easy thing, right? Territory doesn't have a tax ID. The unit that has a tax ID is the providing unit, so it's the one that buys them. But you can set up a tax rate to be shared as long as there's an interlocal and everybody agrees to it. Does that sound right to you, Mr. Gardner? Is it Gardner or Garner? Garner. Okay. So it would be, if it's, as I understood it, correct me sir if I'm wrong, is that we would take it to the entities would have to all agree that they would split that tax rate, and then we take it to the DLGF with the interlocals to say, here's what we want to do, and here's the tax. I would have to be done by August 1st.
She needs the number November 1st, and the purchase has to be ordered by December 31st to get the tax rate the next year.
To get the tax rate next year. And if we want it, and if we wait till next year to do it, then the tax rate would come in 2017.
Right.
Does November 1st kind of make you uncomfortable, Chris?
Extremely.
Because we have to, it would have to be it would be a budget that would have to be voted on and approved through Gateway, right? As part of it would go along with the township budget, right?
I don't think it's about, okay, here we go,
Well, because it's already in your township budget right now, right?
Okay, I think, and Mr. Garner, okay, we have a line item in our budget because that tax rate was established.
Right.
So the tax rate would be established outside the budget. So it's not a part of the budget process. It's a separate tax rate that happens. So it's kind of like when we did our emergency loan. The emergency loan it wasn't a part of the budget process, but once the emergency loan went through, then it became a line item on our budget.
Okay.
Is that clear as mud?
Because it gets approved at different times at later dates.
Yeah.
So the levy that you have in there right now for the vehicles that are getting ready to be paid off, I guess that's what I'm thinking. That's part of.
But it's like a lot of times people say we don't want to let that go away. We want to keep that on. But it does technically go away.
It goes away and gets replaced with another one.
Right, but I guess that's where I'm not following you, because that goes through your budget process, doesn't it?
No.
Okay.
Outside the budget process.
Okay.
And then the only other thing that I'll say, just as an aside, is that generally it ends. However, the trustee before Joe somehow kept the tanker rate, like, when the township bought the tanker, it still fell under the building fund.
They
So-
applied for it wrong, they applied it under a building instead of a vehicle, and the DLGF caught it like a year later, and just said, we're just leaving it, we're not gonna change it. So it showed a building debt, but actually it was a vehicle.
But we want to be.
But they have tax rate.
But we want to be really, really careful. The one thing that, when you say, does it scare me, the one thing that I want to make for sure of is that if we do this, it's almost like I feel like it'll be better next year, but if we do this, that it's such that we give the money, because you collect the money 6 months prior and then it comes, and you don't want the bill to come due.
Okay.
So that's real scary. That's the part that just
If
needs to
you've
be.
got an established tax rate for something that's gonna be paid, you can keep that tax rate as long as you commit
You
a
really-
purchase to that tax rate
It
before
really-
so, you get so many days.
It really ends and then you replace it, but it does end, is what I've been told, correct? Yeah.
What? We went through that in Cicero, we had 3 bonds. And as they went away, we kept one of them, but we only had so much time to commit another debt to that bond or to that tax rate, and it stayed the same.
I think we're saying the same thing, but there's a technicality that if you have to pay it off, and then you can put it right back on there. But you have to pay it off.
Right.
So the levy that you have right now, who is that being collected from?
It's just the township.
So what you're saying is we need a new levy that will include everybody in the
Yes,
territory.
and then along with that, we would take it to the DLGF, not just as, hey, we're applying for a levy, but hey, we're applying for a levy, and we also are bringing an agreement from Atlanta and an agreement from Arcadia that they will share that. So if it's 0.25 or whatever, that they would say, yes, we're okay with helping pay that back. And then that vehicle or whatever it is that you purchase becomes, that it's titled as the township, but it becomes property of the
Per
territory.
the interlocal.
Yeah, because, and you have the interlocal that we've said, hey, we're gonna go out and buy a grass truck. And yes, the township's gonna go get the loan, but the 2 towns agree to help pay it back.
And then that levy, that disbursement will go directly from the auditor to you, to the territory.
Yes.
Not, it won't be funneled through the.
No, then it would
okay.
be just like they collect money for the fire territory,
Okay.
but it comes through our fire territory.
Okay.
Are you laughing?
But I think that you need to,
Why are you laughing?
I think it needs to be before November 1st too, just for comfort's sake.
Watch people fall asleep, that's all.
Attorney.
I think the good thing about that is that it transitions, so this way, the people don't feel the impact they would normally if it was a new levy.
Well, but Atlanta and Arcadia would feel the impact because they don't have a levy right now.
Correct.
So Atlanta and Arcadia would be raising taxes to your people because they're not paying we're paying for the fire truck and for the ambulance out of township money.
But what are we talking, like $20 a year, something? It's not, 8?
5.
Yeah, it's not.
When we got the ambulance and the fire engine, I didn't even notice an increase on my taxes. I mean, my taxes normally go up a few dollars a year
Right.
because of the assessed valuation. I didn't even notice an increase.
But, wait, let me say one more thing, okay? However, the emergency loan goes away.
In 17, January 1st, 17, the emergency loan's gone.
So I think it's real important that we not put a tax on our people while they're still paying back the emergency loan. Like, you guys are feeling the emergency loan, so when the emergency loan goes away, then your people wouldn't feel it because the emergency loan goes away, or wouldn't feel much. Does that make sense?
I'm going to be completely honest, the emergency loan confuses me.
Okay, the way the emergency loan went was we got an emergency loan, and then they decided that we had one opportunity to go to the DLGF and increase our tax rate. Huh? Oh, go ahead. Robin, we need to go have lunch.
You know, we have 2 clerks here, and they're gonna talk on
I'm not
that.
clear, I'm trusting.
Or well,
Can we do them all, let the chief finish up? It's getting kind of late.
I'm not.
Oh, come on.
I guess what I need though for that is, I need to know what the timeline is. Is it harmful if we delay this process of putting a year gap between.
No. Not at all.
Okay, because I need to know, because you don't have to go through the specification process, the bidding
I don't think
process.
you have enough time.
For the sake of time and everything else, and with the emergency loan being paid off and everything, I recommend that we wait till next year to approach that on our new budget, the 2 new vehicles.
And it doesn't, but if you start at second,
Yeah, get all that done over the way.
then that would be good.
Then you'd have more solid numbers too.
Right.
Well, they'll change the materials and labor over the course of the year.
Right, at least you have an idea.
All right, do we have anything else about home business, any new business?
Do we need to approve the expenditure of repairing ambulance 56?
Do what, please?
Repairing ambulance 56?
What was the amount of
We
that?
did that last, but we already did that, didn't we?
Technically, no.
Yeah, we first,
Even with the current price, which will go lower.
we did last night.
$910, which is within the spending cap. This approval I was seeking is in case of over 15. And that included the tow bill.
You know,
So in that 910,
That's right, we did. I'm sorry.
it'll go down.
Okay. Any additional old business, new business, anything at all?
Oh, inputs, anything?
Do we have any more public comments? We've already had some, they were great.
I'm trying to extort the.
I'm sorry?
Oh.
If I heard your comments clearly, definitely hit home.
Can we adjourn our meeting?
You know, if I was acting like a military man, I'd be asking for a jury. But I appreciate everybody's attendance. I appreciate all the comments been made.
When is your next meeting?
Let's talk about the next meeting.
We got it already scheduled.
It's scheduled for August 13th, right? August 13th.
Okay, so the township public hearing is August 12th, is that right? No, September September.
Yeah, you're a month ahead.
So do you want the township board to be a part of that meeting as well? Since you're working on putting joint meetings?
I don't have a problem with it. I'd go ahead and do another joint on the 13th.
August 13th?
At 6:30?
6:30, is that good for everybody? Not in the morning, I don't get up that early. Is it good for everybody, 6 or 6:30 or what?
That's fine.
6?
6:30 is fine. It doesn't matter to me. Either.
6:30.
Six.
13th. I mean, a motion to adjourn, I guess you're gonna have to adjourn first.
We already have.
Okay, good.
You didn't hear it?
You didn't hear Glenn yell adjourn?
Wednesday.
Motion to adjourn meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you for coming, folks. We appreciate it.
Okay.